Welcome to Bannerlord. Today we're following the life of a simple peasant, a sturgeon man named Edward Ragnarson. Now, Edward's background. He's not exactly noble. He was born in the cold village of Cranarog. He was the son of thieves, and his two brothers dipped out early on, leaving him with absolutely nothing after their parents passed. So, yeah, we're off to a great start here. But like any good sturgeon, Edward's stubborn, and when war between Sturgia and Valandia kicked off again, because of course it does, I figured it was time to stop chopping wood and start chopping heads. I march Edward over to Cranarog Castle, where Baron Roland of the Costa Roving clan is holding court. Not a big name in Sturgia, but respectful enough. I get him signed up as a recruit in Roland's warband. Now, life in the warband isn't exactly exciting. Most of it's just patrolling villages, checking for bandits, and being used as a practice dummy during sparring drills. Edward's not great with a sword, but he's got a thick skull. Things are quiet for a while, until one night in the woods near Cranarog, we get hit with a bandit ambush. The soldiers scramble, it's chaos, and Edward, instead of hanging back, rushes into the front line, and I'll be honest, I expected him to fold instantly, but somehow he actually managed to drop a few of them before getting completely flattened. He goes down hard, but it's enough to earn him some respect. Roland gives him a pay bump, and the boys in the warband stop laughing at him quite as much. A few weeks later, while passing through a town, I throw Edward into a tournament just to see what happens, and he actually wins. Legitimately. He doesn't even cheese it. This gets him a promotion and access to some better gear. I kit him out with a two-handed axe, a shield, and he keeps his tournament sword as backup. He's starting to look like a proper soldier now. We also start to pick up side jobs in towns from a workshop owner named Marina. She needed some muscle to deal with a few criminals extorting her business. Sounds like easy money, right? You couldn't be more wrong. Her crew that she gave us is an absolute disaster, and the bandits aren't playing games. It turns into a complete mess, and Edward ends up getting sent back to the medic's tent. From there it's back to the basics, patrols, training, and the occasional skirmish with bandits. Edward's skills are starting to come together. So after a solid year under Baron Roland, Edward's starting to feel ready for more. Problem is, the war with Valandia is just sitting in limbo. There's no big pushes and there's no proper battles. Then one day, while we were camping near Cranarog, I spot Ragnvad's royal banner. This is it. I move Edward over to serve under King Ragnvad himself. Thanks to the reputation we've built, the army takes him in. Now, this isn't Roland's ragtag crew, this is the real deal. Heavily armoured veterans, elite guards, and way more discipline. Edward gets assigned to medical duties, not because he knows how to heal anyone, but he's useful enough carrying wounded and patching up the odd limb. Or removing it. The king tours the kingdom, visiting cities, doing political stuff. But then we get word of bandits, but not just any bandits, deserters. The Royal Guard wipes them absolutely clean, and Edward just watches from the reserve, but it's a glimpse into what real warfare looks like. Winter hits, and then it happens. The call goes out. Lords from every corner of Sturgia start to show up. Thousands of men rally under the king. One massive army. The plan? To finally take the fight to Valandia and do the first hit. First stop was Remtor Castle. We hit it fast, no siege engines, just brute force, and it falls easily. Next up is Veron Castle. Ragnarvad skips the siege prep again, and goes straight for a blitz attack, which I throw Edward into. We breach the walls with minimal losses. but as usual, Edward overextends and gets caught by a Valandian counter-push. He takes a pike to the head and a few arrows for good measure, but still the castle falls, and he gets promoted. New armour, more gold, things are starting to look up. But then the bad news hits. King Durtha of Valandia has raised his own army, massive numbers matching our own. Ragnarson sends us straight into them, no tactics, no prep, just charges wave after wave like it's going to scare them. I move Edward up with the shock troops. The sun isn't even up yet when we see the Valandian cavalry, and let me tell you, seeing a couple hundred knights coming straight at you is the kind of thing that makes you rethink every life choice you've ever had. They tear through our front lines, total chaos. Edward fights as best as he can, but he gets speared through the back and goes down early. From the ground, I watch the rest of the sturgeons get absolutely shredded. It's a massacre. Hours pass into fighting, and still no sign of the king. Men start breaking ranks, retreating, morale collapses, and the myth of sturgeons being invincible completely shattered. After the absolute disaster that was the Battle of Varon Castle, things didn't exactly go great for Edward. The Valandians, probably overwhelmed with prisoners, ended up letting a few go, and Edward was one of the few lucky ones. Or unlucky, depending on how you look at it. They stripped him of all of his armour, all of his weapons. He had absolutely nothing but bruises, a broken spirit, and whatever dignity he had left after being stomped by a cavalry charge. With no place in the Sturgeon army anymore, and no desire to return honestly, Edward started walking. Why not go home? Well, the truth is, that last battle changed something in him. Ragnarson had led them like cattle to the slaughter. There was no tactics, no leadership, just blind charges. Edward had seen men die for nothing. Good men. Brave men. And if that's what loyalty got you, he wanted no part of it. So, he limped his way to Maranath. It didn't take long before he heard the familiar roar of the crowd. Tournament day. Perfect, a chance for him to get back on his feet. He jumped in with no fancy gear, no reputation, just a broken down soldier with something to prove, and somehow he won. His first win since the disaster. And it felt good. From there, a new plan started forming. Town to town, tournament to tournament, no more kings, no more lords, just Edward and his blade, and the arena.
Die, you bastard!
But of course, nothing ever stays smooth in calradia. While making his way towards another tournament, a group of bandits jumped him on the road. Outnumbered and still half-armoured, Edward put up a fight, but eventually they dropped him. Just as the final blow was coming, a familiar voice cut through the chaos. Chavael Ragnarson, his older brother. He'd been gone for years and Edward barely recognised him. It turns out Chavael had taken a different path than Edward. While Edward joined armies, Chavael had slipped into something a little less official. Smuggling, trade, a bit of espionage, you name it. The kind of work where you don't ask questions, and you never use your real name. He made his coin playing in the shadows, and he was good at it. With Chavel's help, Edward made it to Tial, battered but breathing. Another tournament, another chance, and with his brother watching this time, Edward made sure to put on a show. Victory again, and drinks flowed at a tavern after. And that's when fate tossed the third Ragnarson into the mix. Ilmir. He looked the same, maybe a little more scarred, but that same fire was in his eyes. Ilmir had been cutting across Calradia as a sword for hire, fighting for whoever paid best. He'd seen the worst of lords, same as Edward, but learned how to make it work for him. Contracts, strategies, discipline. He really knew how to run a crew. So there they were, all three Ragnarson brothers under one roof for the first time in years. One a soldier disillusioned by the crown, one a rogue with contacts and coin, and one a seasoned mercenary with experience in battle. We got to talking about everything, the wars, the kings, the lives we'd nearly lost, and then we had an idea, why not fight for ourselves? And so we pulled together every coin we had. Chavel brought in a chest from God knows where, Ilmir sold a few favours, Edward, he put in his winnings. We bought gear and wrote up a plan, a very simple one, to form a mercenary company. Not just any company, a brotherhood. No lord, no crown, just men who knew war and chose to face it together. We'd fight on our own terms, pick our own contracts, and build something better than what the kingdoms had to offer. And so, a new chapter begins. So we set out, just the three of us, Edward, Chavel and Ilmir. No army, no lord, just a wagon, some weapons, and an idea. Town to town we moved, entering tournaments, talking to villagers, hunting down bandit parties, and slowly building something. We knew that if we wanted to be recognised as a proper mercenary group, we'd have to earn that title. No one was going to hand us a contract out of pity, we had to make them know our name. So we did just that. Edward stepped into every arena he could find, fighting tooth and nail, not just for gold, but for reputation. Each victory got our name a little louder, and every group of bandits we wiped out, that was just one more dent in Calradia's underbelly and one more crate of gear that we could sell. Chavel with his little network of contacts always seemed to know where the bandits were hiding. Old smuggler routes, burnt down watchtowers, backwood villages that didn't even show up on any maps. He kept us supplied, informed, and a few steps ahead of the local garrisons. Ilmir brought structure to it all. Drills, rotations, tactics. He kept the group sharp. What started as three brothers quickly turned into something more. It wasn't long before others started joining. Misfits, outcasts, people from all corners of Calradia who were tired of dying for someone else's banner. We took in Valandian deserters, Cusate nomads, Botanian hunters, you name it. It didn't matter where you were from, as long as your heart was in the right place. And you had your brother's back, of course. Every town we visited, every tournament we entered, every bandit we broke, it all brought us closer to something bigger. A symbol started showing up, on shields, on cloaks, scratched into helmets and burned into the wood of our campfires. A symbol that stood for loyalty, brotherhood, and strength. A symbol that meant something. Because we weren't just some group of fighters anymore. We were something people wanted to be a part of. The Iron Legion was born. And unlike the other mercenary companies that marched under polished banners and stiff uniforms, we didn't need any of that. We were forged from grit, blood, and a shared purpose. They didn't fight for glory, we fought for each other. The kingdoms might not have noticed us yet, but they would. Oh, they would. Because this was only the beginning.